Everybody loves a good bit of bokeh. f2.8, 1.8, 1.4 if you're lucky. Canon even go to a 1.2. Today we're looking at the Canon 50mm f1.0. So at f1.0, it's not the fastest lens that's on the market. Leica do make a 0.95 and there's a couple of other ones out there, but in terms of an autofocus one, nothing with full frame coverage springs to mind. And these are rare as hell. We're talking $6,000 to $8,000 US used, and they're really, really hard to find. Today's test is just about the bokeh, how it deals with those out of focus fore and background areas. Let's have a play. In the next couple of weeks, I'll put up a full review of this lens, but for now I can tell you it focuses surprisingly quickly considering it's an f1. But who cares about that? We're just looking at the bokeh today. So let me just show you here at f8, what kind of a result we're getting. So we've got a tree growing off her back shoulder. That's a great look for you, I've got to say. Now 2.8, that's a lens speed that a lot of people own if you've got yourself an expensive fast zoom. There you go, at f2.8, nice blurred out background. If you're really lucky and you've got yourself a fast prime like a 50mm 1.4, that's getting up there in price. Keep in mind that an f1.4 is 4 times more light capturing capability than a 2.8. That's 2 stops, 2.8 to 2, 2 to 1.4. Take a look at f1 though. You can't move at all or you're gonna fall out of focus. The background just absolutely disappears. Even if we put that tree right behind her head, so she's got some phallic head thing going on. You look great with phallic head thing, I have to say. Hey, this is very serious. It's just mental what this thing does to the background and the foreground as well.
Here's a little preview from the full lens review that'll come up shortly. Is it sharp wide open? Well, of course you need good technique, but here's a close-up crop from that image. If you can nail that tiny depth of field, you can create some amazing images.
Okay, let me just get a little bit of video here. Okay, so at 2.8 already the background is beautifully blurred, but it does have quite a hexagonal out of focus area. If we drop it down to, say, f1.4, you can see it's taking on a beautiful circular bokeh and really, really soft. And that's about as good as you can normally go. But at f1, that's why we're here, right? It just blurs away to nothing. You've got dancing balls of bokeh in the background. It's like being on the set of a Swedish porno film. It's just incredibly soft, but keeping it in focus is ridiculous. At this distance, about, I'm guessing, a meter and a bit, how's it going? We'd have about 4 centimeters depth of field maximum. Crazy town. The ability to blur things is good for things other than just simple portraits. Here we go at f1, as we pull the video back. Cicadas are back, everyone's excited. There we go, golden orb spider, and we can just totally obscure the foreground and background on him to isolate him or her all by themselves. If we were shooting at, say, f2.8, we get a whole lot of the background that we wouldn't necessarily want. So with bokeh, you're often thinking about what's it doing to the background. How blurred out can we make the background? But it's everything that's out of focus, foreground and background. So here at 2.8, we've got a little bit of bamboo in front, behind, and then more in the background. Let's get a shot and show you that. Focusing on the lead eye. You can quite clearly see, it is falling away in the background, but the foreground and right behind her is still there. Drop it down to f1. Oh my God, that's so hectic, bro. Yeah, just look out at your sister and think, what am I doing here today? Think about, why is she my parents' favorite?
Yes, she is.
Of course she is. You're the wild child. You can't expect to be the favorite. Just step in towards there, a little bit closer to the spiders. Yep. So if you get someone walking through the background, just take them to Bokeh Town. I'm joking. Okay, of course, like I said, at f1.0, you have such a stupidly small depth of field to play with, but that's what you're buying a lens like this for. You're not buying it for all the other things that well, maybe you are, but I would argue you're not going to buy this for sharpness and how quick it focuses and how practical it is. For God's sake, it's like a kilo of 50mm. I know, fellas, I know, shut up. But the background is so smooth. If you want to do some safety shots at 1.1, 1.2, they're still nice. The vignette does clean up a little bit. The sharpness does pick up a little bit, but we'll cover all of that in the review.
To really appreciate what this lens does to the fore and background out of focus areas, let's compare this 2.8 image to the f1. Just such a pronounced difference. It's so much more blurred out. You have much greater separation from the background, and you're able to create that separation at bigger distances from your subject because it remains a smaller depth of field. Here's another one, 2.8 to f1.
So I think this lens truly lives up to the name of the video, bokeh porn. This is something else. Seriously exceptional, so smooth, so buttery. I don't think, well, I'm sure I've never used the DSLR lens that produces bokeh as beautifully as this guy. There was a little bit of onioning apparent in some of the videos wide open at night. Show you a little grab there.
It's something else. Look at that bokeh in the background. Damn. That's what $8,000 worth of glass buys you, kids.
But overall, this is just astonishing. You know, there are other lenses out there like the Noctilux from Leica 0.95. Keep in mind that 9.95 to f1, it's only 11% more light, and coincidentally, that lens costs $11,000 and it's manual focus. This is truly astonishing. Of course, that's not the end of the story. There's a lot more to consider if you're gonna buy something like this than just how good the bokeh is. So stay tuned, I will have a full review coming up soon. Click the like and subscribe, share this with anyone that you think might like to own this bad boy, and I'm gonna go shoot with it a little longer before I have to return it. See ya.
Isn't it nice? Doesn't really matter if you even pull a silly face. I'm just such a good photographer, and with this lens, it's hard to go wrong.
It's the lens, not you.
Hey. Was that recording? Damn. You want to punch me back? Face face. Ow! Should have given you my strong arm. Oh, stop recording.